our topic, as I said, I felt like when I looked at things that we had offered and directions that we needed to go and where we are at this point, technically we're getting pretty close to mid-semester. And it seemed to me that thinking about motivating our students and engaging our students, that this is a time in the semester that we really want to focus on those things. And so the topic of creating a sense of wonder actually is a part of the title because of an article that I found. And you know, as I researched the topics, I try to come up with a variety of articles, and I always will, of course, share them with you. But one of the topics actually I found pretty exciting. And so you'll see why in just a moment. The article started out with this quote from Rachel Carson about instilling the sense of wonder into children. And it's from her book called The Sense of Wonder, which I will show you in just a moment, in which she was writing about her experiences with a nephew who was, I believe, 7 at the time that she was writing these things. And the sheer joy of just being with this child on the shores of Maine and experiencing that through the child's eyes was really incredible. And so this is the book, and I actually have it right here. So when I read that quote, I had to go in and get the book out, and I reread it, made myself some copious notes from it, and it was the first printing was in 1956, according to what's in the book. Although it also indicates that that it had not completely been published when she passed. So I'm not completely sure on that. But it was reprinted in 1997. And that's what fascinates me about this particular edition of it, because of the photographs that are in it are absolutely incredible. And I actually have used the image with express permission from the photographer, which is a pretty fun thing to be able to say. So here's where we are headed today. We are going to share what our own personal motivation is, or some of the things that motivate us. We want to think about what can create that sense of wonder, and take a look at some of the challenges that we might feel facing us, as well as some solutions, and then think about ways that we can use those solutions to support our students. So when we think about motivation, of course, usually the first thing that comes to mind is, well, there's extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic is what the students do because they want a specific grade, but intrinsic is when it's developed from that sense of wonder. And we might think, well, it's binary, it's either or. And it isn't, because if you think back, you will remember that there have been times and subjects that you didn't feel particularly excited to delve into. And then other times where a mention of something, I was watching a webinar recently and heard her reference, let me see if I can, a pangolin, and I was not aware of what that was. And as soon as it was over, I had to go look it up. So I wanted to find out more about it. And so that is exactly where we are headed, and the fact that we can do things to increase our students' motivation in our fields. One of the things that I did was look at the dictionary definition for wonder, and this particular definition definitely appeals to me. Of course, as with most definitions, there were other variations, but I like that one. I like that one. And so now this is going to take us something awesomely mysterious or new to one's experience. And that's going to take us to our next Slido poll. And so think about your field and what is it that instills the sense of wonder in your field? What is it about your field that excites you, that makes you want to dig a little deeper? Think about where it might be going, or what could be how it might progress when we get our students involved. It has to be, they don't get a sense of wonder at just hearing, this is how something works, or this is here's what it means in our field. There has to be more to it. There has to be questions in their mind. And actually, we've got some questions on the next one. So I'm going to let you think about this one. What instills the sense of wonder in your field? Yeah, absolutely. What's changing? And we do want one of our primary foci in our teaching is helping them get ready for the workplace. And wow, how are we going to know some of the changes that will be taking place? So there is some places for them to try to dig into and answer some of those questions. Technologies, yeah, of course, it's an everyday thing. Oh, emotions. I'm glad that you referenced emotions, because that's one of the things in Rachel Carson's book that it's one of the notes that I have on it. It's the emotions, and thinking about the voices of the earth that we hear, and the sense that there's more there than we can imagine. So emotions related to experiencing the natural world, and that's a key point. That is a key point. So the workforce field is changing, as is the natural landscape, and yes, work-life balance. No kidding. That has been, I would guess, probably one of the biggest challenges that all of us have faced. And so now instead of seeing it as a challenge, we can think about it as, okay, so how do we make the change in that? So again, this one will be open for a while if you want to jot down the link or stay in there and add to it. And I, of course, will be sharing the responses when we go through. Let me just do a little quick time check here. Okay. So I'm going to go on, but please feel free to continue to respond. Oh, the freedom to be creative. Oh my, yes. And that is one of the things that the sense of wonder stirs up in all of us. The ability, and I've got this later on, our creative thinking, as well as to develop our critical thinking skills. So the two of them together comes through that sense of wonder. Excellent. Thank you so much for these really very thoughtful responses. Thank you. Please continue to post in there. Love it. So let's give some thought to what it takes to motivate our students and perhaps ourselves as well. One of the questions, or one of the comments from this article references Michael Welch's TED Talk from 2012. And in that, he references the fact that questions are the most amazing things that humans do. And the rest of his quote says, first of all, it sends you on a quest, which of course is the root for the word question. But it involves, okay, there's a question in my mind that is really driving me. I really want to know more about that. So the sense of wonder has to include mystery. What's there? What else can I learn about this? And vulnerability too. Thinking about the relationship to the things that definitely are worth wondering about. And it takes courage. It takes courage to ask some of these questions. There may be some aspects of the things that are in your field that perhaps you already know or know a little bit more about, and yet it's so important for you to stay in the quest with the students, certainly still as leader, but let them know that you are also searching for answers. So takes us out of that role of I'm the expert and I have all of the answers for you, which I don't, never have, and I know that I never will. And it's what our students can discover that takes them and us on an even deeper journey. So these are some of the questions and some of the ways that one of the authors that I've was reading referenced is things that we can do to evoke that sense of wonder in our students. So share with them some of the larger questions in your field, things that have been put out there and people are researching even as we speak. Ways that we know that we can find out more and more and more about it. And of course, learning how to do the research is a key component, I think, in everybody's class, is how to find the answers to the questions that we have. What are some of the things that keep researchers awake at night and getting up at 2 a.m. and getting back into the search? So what are some of those big questions that people are looking at in your field? There's also some of the paradoxes, the curiosity component from the field, mysteries, things that maybe we don't know everything about yet. Perhaps you've discovered that there are case studies that seem to contradict each other, results that seem logical in one context, but maybe not so much so in another one, and perhaps something that was, quote, discovered in the field a few years ago, but maybe things that have recently come up are different for it, which takes us to the comment about some of the foundational thinkers. How did those who were the seminal researchers in your field, what were some of the questions in their mind that took them to where they got to in order to be able to develop the field the way it currently is? So how did they try to figure out what was going on and to make sense of what they were seeing in the field? And one of the other things that was mentioned is referencing analogies and metaphors. How can we phrase it in a way that makes it a question in their mind? Plus, how does what we're doing link to other information in other fields? Because pretty much there's linkages in almost every field into another one. So you may be working in a field that has comparable research in another one, and where you can cross information together with them. The other thing that comes to mind when we're thinking about learning and growing in the field is Carol Dweck's information on mindsets. And so the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And I will be sharing some information with you about those. I have on this one a link to, it's a 10-minute, one of those RSA animate videos, which I thoroughly enjoy, but I will not play it for you at this point, but I will make sure that you have the link to see it, because it's definitely worth watching, because she explains what it is and how it happens and how we can move our students from that fixed mindset that everything, my intelligence is set, which was not that long ago, that, the assumption was, here's your IQ, and that was it. And we know now that that is not the case. And so the concept of being fixed talents, fixed intelligence, and this is who I am, and this is what I know, and that's it, as opposed to the way that we can develop new skills and think about the dedication, the motivation, the perseverance, the willingness to put ourselves out there to learn and to grow. And this is another Rachel Carson quote that I have loved for a very long time, and it was referenced again in this article too. So I have to share it. And we could substitute the word child in there for anyone. We work with our students. Many of them are young, many of them are not necessarily, but they are all still here to learn. If we're to keep alive that sense of wonder, they need the companionship of at least one adult to guide them through the joy, the mystery, the excitement of where we are and where we might be going with this. And so we talked, one of you mentioned earlier about the part of what keeps your sense of wonder in the field going is the creativity. And that was mentioned in one of the articles, the fact that the sense of wonder provides us with the catalyst for the critical thinking as well as the creative thinking. Because if you are able to have your students working on a question and then they're in their mind that they wonder about, rather than just saying, well, okay, so here's this, and this about that, they will be intrigued enough to pursue the factual knowledge that is certainly the direction we want them to go. They will be intrigued to go for the processes. What does it take to get to that knowledge, and how can I go from here to there? The skills that I'm going to need to get there, and those things definitely lead to mastery of the content. Exactly where our intent by the end of the course is to get them, but they've made it there on their own without just throwing facts and information at them. And all of that then leads us to the whole the creative thinking piece of it. Constructing the knowledge based on what we have delved into, done some research on, taking what we get from the various components and putting it together to say, okay, this makes sense. It also leads us to those higher order levels of Bloom's taxonomy, the ability to analyze the information that we are getting and put it into place, evaluate what's going on with what we have found. So we then have are right there in the beautiful direction of our outcomes. One of the quotes in Rachel Carson's book, well, one of many that I've marked, there's a bunch of them, and I highly recommend it, if for nothing else, then Nick's incredible photography. But one of the quotes in here has to do with giving our students a magnifying glass. Now, if you're not in a course that involves taking a closer look at things, a literal magnifying glass may not be exactly what you need, although everybody loves one. You don't see anybody pick one up without them, taking it around and taking a closer look at things. But the magnifying glass gives us a close look at some of the most amazing components in nature's handiwork. And I will move this over so you can see my magnifying glass there. So let's see. An investment will bring a new world into being. Investment of a magnifying glass brings a new world into being. Things that we take for granted. Now, she's referring in here to literally using a magnifying glass, but think about it as a metaphor for the ways that our students are going to be learning, giving them a magnifying glass into this field that you are absolutely amazed about, and a way of instilling that sense of wonder in them. Objects that we take for granted or think of as uninteresting become just a treasure trove. A sprinkling of sand grains may appear as glistening jewels or crystals or glittering jet beads, or as a melange of Lilliputian rocks, spines of sea urchins, and bits of snail shells. So both the conceptual thought of a magnifying glass to take a closer dive into what they want, what we are anticipate them coming out of our classes with, but as a both literal and a figuratively way. So that takes us to our question, and I will try to be quiet for a moment and let you think. Think about your magnifying glass. See, I'm not even being quiet. Right, well, but think about where you would turn your magnifying glass and how you would incorporate that into your students' searches. And no matter what the industry is, yes, there's a huge variety of technology in those industries and things that can serve us and serve us well to take that deeper dive, or maybe things that might kind of get in the way. Who knows? Real world, in-person field experiences, as well as online options. And haven't we learned the value of having both of those? Yeah, critical thinking. Excellent. How to brand themselves for opportunities. Toolkit on how to survive in an organizational environment. Oh my goodness, yes. Do we not definitely need that? A historical perspective on where we are and how we got there. Here's what it looks like, and we have there are several departments that we work with that truly use the video concept of real world application extremely well in their ways of presenting what's going on in the field to their students. And that could fit in any field. Ways to speak up and share their ideas. I need that one. I need that one, definitely. Thank you. How to speak up. And I will say that well, and I haven't been on that level for a while, but seemingly, at least in the field of education, when there are new people coming in, their ideas, which are fresh out of school, at no matter what age, their ideas may not necessarily be as thought of as highly. And so, and yet that's exactly where the new ideas and the things need to come from. Beautiful, excellent. These are some great. And as you know, I will be sending these responses out to you. Otherwise, I am delighted that you have joined us today. I appreciate your time. It is a valuable resource that you have, and I'm grateful that you have been willing to share that with us.